Hi, I'm Mike.
And I'm Nick.
And this is NFGeeks. Nick, welcome back as always. It's good to see you on NFGeeks. Yeah, it's great. Another fine episode of NFGeeks. All right, so this first episode, we're going to talk about the variants, the instinctual variants that are found in the Enneagram. And what I like about the variants is that you can just separate them out from the Enneagram. Not that people like to do that, but separate them out from the Enneagram, and when you apply them to any of the Myers-Briggs types, it really explains a lot of stuff. You know, you can really see different types of INFJs, ENFPs, ESTJs, whatever, when you apply the variants. You know, so you're more into the Enneagram and more knowledgeable than I am, okay, because that's part of your shtick. So it's a little bit a part of mine, obviously I'm talking about it. But so why don't you lead us off? What are your thoughts about that as it relates to MBTI?
Well, the funny thing about the Enneagram was like, I started learning Enneagram like right around the same time I learned about Myers-Briggs. So like it wasn't the kind of thing where I found out about it way later and gave it this kind of like, oh, it's an inferior model than it was. I really learned them both around the same time. You know, MBTI seems a little bit more, structured and tried and true. But I like Enneagram too, and I think a lot of people think that it's a little bit too loose. But if you really dig into the nuts and bolts of it, it's not as much loose as this is just a different kind of approach.
Sure.
But anyway, with saying that, the funny thing is that with the instinctual variants, like I think that they're the most important part of the Enneagram. That's what I would personally say.
Yeah, it's actually the part that I think is best that really works. I could see it. I shouldn't say it's best, but I can see it the best when you combine it.
Yeah, and I think it's more applicable when you take it out of Enneagram and put it into almost any kind of personality model. The weird thing is though, it was like the very last thing that I learned about Enneagram. Like with Enneagram, I learned obviously all 9 types, and I learned about the fears and the motivations and the drives and just all the basic other stuff. And I remember I kept seeing whenever I'd be on like a forum or something, it would be like, oh, I'm INFJ, for SOSX. I was like, what the hell is that last part? I never looked into it until I was like, okay, I'm seeing this too often, so I want to actually figure it out. And upon reading it, I was like, oh my god, this was like exactly where I should have started with it.
Yes, absolutely. It really helps in figuring out the differences between, within a type, because, not all the INFJs are the same, not all the ENFPs are the same. Why are they different? Yet they're still ENFPs or INFJs or whatever. This makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's interesting, because like early on to learning about MBTI, I would look at like certain INFJs that, either I knew, saw it in pop culture, saw it in forums, whatever. I'd be like, I'm kind of like those ones, but I'm definitely not like that. I was starting to say to myself, and I think this is where people second guess themselves, was I was saying, am I really an INFJ? I might be this or that if I'm not exactly like this. And upon learning like Enneagram and the different Enneagram types, but especially the instincts, I was like, that's why. That's totally what it is that creates subtypes of the various MBTI types.
Well, let's talk about our own instinctual variants. What do you think? I know what I think mine are, but what do you think yours are?
Yeah, and I have to say, like, I'm still in the kind of I think I'm this, because as much as I love the variants, and as much as I really do like Enneagram, the one thing I won't give it is that it doesn't have like a really definitive way of typing yourself, of getting your type.
No, you have to know your type first, I think, like your MBTI type.
Yeah. I mean, it's much simpler in that with MBTI, you have an inventory, and there's a lot more ways to really get it. With Enneagram, it seems like it's more of a process of like self-discovery. In fact, a lot of people say like the inventory is like the inventories that are available that people create aren't the way to go.
Oh no, I hate them. I never saw one that I liked at all.
Yeah, and they say that you're supposed to kind of like fumble along with it and really kind of take time with it until you're like, that's it, that's what it is. But anyway, what I think my type is, despite the fact I like it so much, when it just comes to the instinctual variance, I'm pretty sure I'm a social first and sexual second. And kind of the way I got to that was I kind of worked backwards. I think self-preservation is probably my least. It's the least of the drives. You know, you have your self-preservation drives, you have your sexual drives, which is like one-on-one attraction, and then you have the social. And self-preservation seems to be my last. That seems to be the thing that I'm just sucking at. Whereas social didn't seem like it was last, but sexual then didn't seem like it was first. And then I kind of put it together that way. Then I read about it, I was like, oh yeah, it's totally me. And I'd say what type I am, what Enneagram type would probably be, the closest I'm to would be like a 4-wing 3, social, sexual.
Oh. Well, I'm going to tell you mine. Mine was easy. I knew it within seconds, you know, because it's pretty strong and obvious. Yeah. It's obvious now. Do I even have to say it?
I agree. I agree with you that it's obvious before you even say it.
Right. But I'm going to, I want to talk about it because I have my own little theory about this, and this is going to lead into a lot of stuff we're going to talk about today. So mine's sexual, social, self-preservation.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Right. There's that's it. I think one video in, you know, you could pretty much make it there.
Oh yeah.
You know, one of the funny things that happened, because I'm thinking this because somebody said this today to me, which was they said to me, and this was about the forum, and they said to me, you know, Mike, do you flirt with everybody on the forum? You know, is anybody you're not flirting with at some point or another? And no, I'm thinking, no, it's what? I'm just talking. We're just having a thing. Bad. Right, exactly. That's what I think.
But you are.
Yeah, no, I do it. I don't even, but I do it on, but I call it Disney level 1. It's just Disney, okay? That's it. It's not going into rated X. It's, you know, Beauty and the Beast.
Rated G, rated
right, you know, there's dancing candles. You know, it's Disney.
Yeah.
Well, at least in my mind, it's Disney.
No, I agree.
Yes. So yeah, I'm definitely
I'll let you know if it was venturing into R or NC-17 or something.
Yeah, okay. I might go to PG though. Is that okay?
Yeah, I said G, PG.
PG. Okay, yeah. That's good. PG-13? I'm pushing it.
You're pushing it, but
okay. Well, I don't mean to. This is part of the sexual part of me, the wanting the connection and that energy, which is so strong, I can't even stop it.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm always thinking about it too. You know, so.
Yeah.
That's part of why it's the first one. All right. Now my question is, and again, this is what I mean. It's going to lead into everything. Is that I wonder if certain instinctual variant combinations are type specific. Okay, and the reason why I say that is most ENFPs I know are also sexual first, that I know personally. I would say sexual. I would say for them too.
Either sexual or social.
Yes, I would, and so I don't see a lot of self-preservation first ENFPs.
It's funny you say this because it's not, again, I'm kind of working backwards. It's not so much I'm thinking that certain combinations or certain instinctual variants are type specific, but I will say that there's certainly, in my mind, certain types that can't be.
Right. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what I mean. You know, I don't know if an ENFP can have sexual down the bottom as the last one.
Good point.
I don't think that's possible.
I don't think that's possible.
If they did, I would declare that they're not ENFPs. Back to that again.
Yeah. But I would also say that I don't see, like, say something like ENFP being self-preservation first.
No, absolutely, that's right. I agree. I can't think of a single ENFP I know personally in the real world or in that world that I would put self-preservation first.
Yeah.
Okay. In fact, you can tell that self-preservation is really far away.
Yeah,
in light of some of their choices.
I mean, just to sum it up, like say self-preservation of the 3, that's really focused on your physical body, your health, your finances, food, clothing, shelter, basically all the practical
Terrible
stuff.
At that.
Yeah, I'd say a lot of NFs are probably not
horrible.
Gonna be self-preservation first, but I'll tell you, probably on the flip side, I don't think there's an SJ that isn't either first or second in self-preservation.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, I mean, I think self-preservation is more close to SJ than anything.
Yes, I would say that Noah's probably self-preservation first.
Yeah, actually,
personally, yeah.
Yeah, my girlfriend is self-preservation first. She's ISFJ.
All right, now doesn't that fly in the face of Enneagram thought? Because Enneagram would say that, certainly regarding the numbers, that any number could be any organization.
I mean,
and wouldn't that imply that every MBTI type could be an organization of all three? Now, obviously, if you watch NFGeeks, my opinion is that's wrong.
Yeah, I mean,
but what's your opinion?
My opinion is that, yeah, technically it could be, but as you said before, like that very, very, very small percent of people that are the exception, I mean, are they even counted in the statistics?
No, they're not. Do I have to say that again? Yeah. No, they're not.
I mean, yes, technically there's always some kind of strange exception, but I think by and large, no. I think by and large, certain MBTI types gravitate towards certain Enneagram types, and both of those kind of fall under a very common instinctual variant type as well. Like
and that would be true of the temperaments to a certain degree too. Maybe there's certain I guess that's not true. Maybe,
no, I think.
You think so? You think certain combinations? Yeah, I don't see any of the SJs having sexual first.
No, exactly.
You know what I mean? I don't. Maybe second.
Yeah.
I see it as second, but I can't imagine that it would be first. Whereas I can see a lot of the SPs having it first.
Yeah.
Especially the SFPs. I can see that right up the top, just like me.
I can see the SPs having almost everything, any combination there is. They seem to be a little bit more, I can see them having social instincts kind of leading. Definitely sexual. I can see the attraction, all that stuff, and totally self-preservation. But I think NFs in particular have a little bit more limitations in terms of where their stack is. I don't see a lot of NFs being self-preservation first, focusing on practical body needs above everything else. I see NFs being more social and definitely sexual too.
What do you how do you feel about your own variants? I mean, do you have any opinion about it? Do you like the order that you have? Does the top one make you crazy?
Not yet. I have to say this is one of the best quotes, because I think a lot of times one of the things that I think people confuse Enneagram and MBTI is that MBTI is focused on preferences and kind of more of the cognitive functioning of your personality, where I think Enneagram is more about drives, motivations, fears. So you kind of got to I think people think Enneagram sometimes, and they think, what are my strengths and weaknesses? Where I think it's more about fear and motivation. I mean, I've heard this before, but like what my opinion is, it's more fear and motivation based. And my kind of my feeling on how you pick your type, or what type you are, is you're not supposed to be completely comfortable with what your Enneagram type is. So for instance, let's just get to the instinctual variants. I do consider myself social first, sexual second. And what I've heard, one of the best quotes I heard about, figuring out what your instinctual variant is, or at least which one's dominating, is that I think it was Claudio Naranjo who said that your dominant instinctual variant is a weakness that just looks like a strength.
That's interesting.
That doesn't work the same way with MBTI.
No, that's right.
In MBTI, your dominant
because you're sort of obsessed with it, right? You're
So
obsessed with the dominant thing, and so you're always chasing it. It's like chasing a dragon.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm always focused on the social environment and who's doing what, and just where I fit in with the larger group and the world and all that stuff. I'm constantly focused on it, but it doesn't mean that that's my strength.
Right.
It really is the thing that I obsess over.
Right. You're chasing it.
Yeah. Whereas, and I think you told me this too, was the second, your second variant is the one that kind of comes easy to you.
Yeah.
And the sexual variant for me comes a lot easier, like making a one-on-one connection. I know immediately what I like, what I dislike, what I'm attracted to, what I hate. Aggressiveness and all that stuff it's not the thing I'm obsessed with. It comes a lot more easy to me. And self-preservation is the stuff that I suck at. So that's definitely last for me, I think.
Yeah.
Well,
mine's obviously the sexual dominant. I couldn't, if I wanted to stop chasing it, I couldn't. I'm like a dog chasing a car on that one. Well, Nick, we're almost done here. So let me just say, well, first of all, thank you for episode 1.
Of course.
For doing this. And to the viewers, check out the NFGeeks Facebook forum where you'll meet Nick. And you can talk to him directly if you go to Facebook and join the discussion group on Facebook, and also follow NFGeeks on Twitter and on Tumblr. And don't forget, episodes air every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock. So, thank you very much, Nick.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.